All right, so Fantasy Corner. We do have an email and we have a question. The email doesn't have a ton of questions. Doesn't really have a question in it, but it's fun to read emails when we get them.
Yeah.
And then we'll do some FRD no goes and yeses for the matches, and then we'll do pick them and we'll get GTFO.
Did you make the playoffs?
Negative.
Oh.
I needed you to win.
Yeah, I did not.
No, I know that. Well, and I also didn't put up a good score, so that was the other thing that needed to happen.
Okay.
So I looked at my score differential, at least between he and I. I was like, all right, if he had lost, would I have won? Would I have been in? Nope. Actually, he gained on me. So I was like, damn. Okay. Well, you know what? First time around, it was fun.
Yeah.
Now that I don't, hopefully next year I don't go donut for 4. Because that's not very helpful ever. That's how I started.
Yeah.
And then I rattled off a few wins, but yeah, going 0 for 3, 0 for 4 to start,
Right.
never a good
I think we
thing.
both did, and it was just, yeah.
Oops. Learning process. But for Prem Final, what we can do and what I'd like to do is go through each position and tell you yay or nay on which side I would go with. And I'll do it based on, one, the teams I know that do well against said position or do shitty against that position, but also who has the better player. You know, that's the other part of it. We need to also assess which team actually has the better player here, because that's kind of the important part. You know, because just picking blindly on rankings for you silly people out there that do that, that's not really advised. Just going to tell you that right now. It's not a really good idea. Never ends well. We'll start with the propers.
Can I just so if we're talking about front row, I would like to note that this week on the since we're playing on the Rugby Magazine, and that's the format we talk about the most, at least for Premiership. In the semis, the 3 Dream Team front rows were all backups.
Right. It was Cowan, Dickey, Dreyer, and Hepburn. That's right. Because wait, did Hepburn start?
Moon and Williams.
Moon and Williams started. Okay. So there you go. But yeah, Ruin Dreyer last week kept the theme going of props doing well against the Saracens. We're gonna keep that theme going. I'm starting both Exeter props this week.
Well, you have to start all 4 somehow.
If one of them's hooker eligible, maybe slide him over.
Because one of them's going off, you just have no idea who.
Right. So, yeah, because Saracens rode the bottom of that ladder for the whole season pretty much. Exeter are near the top of points against props as well, so
look,
that's not good.
If you're going to give up the most points to a position group,
props aren't
you
that
could
bad.
do worse than prop.
Yeah, because especially towards the tail end, the number of points that were being given up by props, like high end, was only like 23, 24.
Yeah, you're not right.
So it wasn't,
and that's all because of the 1 point per meter carried.
Yeah, that's the ones that get devastating things.
Talk about Dreyer and his 71.
Right,
but
20 of it came off run meters,
something
like that,
right.
easily. So yeah, that's who That's who I would start for the props. I would start whatever pair start. At this point, if you haven't built up a big enough bank where you can basically chop and change however you feel, you screwed up, because the way this works is you're able to earn money more than what you're allotted, because you have guys that gain value and you get to sell them at said value. So if you were constantly either selling players back at their old value or under, then yeah, you're probably screwed.
Yeah.
Unlike me, I have a full roster of last week's players and I still have 4 million or not 4 million. I have a load.
I think I'm actually at I have 0. I have 0 left.
You have 0?
So
Jesus,
I have
dude.
to.
I have 368.
Yeah, because I filled my squad with high end talent.
Yeah.
So I had Itoji and Laws.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Morgan was on my bench.
Yeah, I left some of my old guys that I had already pulled in because I was like, all right, I don't need to transfer them out even though I'm not playing them.
Right.
And
like
Anywho.
Tompkins, or no, Tom Collins. I'm sorry, Tom Collins. I kept, even though he was cheap and
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. Cheap doesn't necessarily mean
No.
bad. We found that out this year. So for Hooker, I'm going Jinx.
Yeah.
As long as he starts, I'm going Jinx. He's the better player
lineout-
overall.
The lineout gets you so many points.
Yep.
And he'll have his share.
Yeah, he gets.
Especially, he has a couple targets.
Yeah, it's understatement of the day. Yeah, I mean, he scored 348 this year, and that was with missing action.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Yandel was the next highest one.
Right.
He had 496, but
plus,
still, he
you
had
know-
7-8 extra games in there.
Yeah. Well, Yandel's coming out. You know that for a fact.
That's true.
You don't know that Jamie George will come out.
Jamie George isn't coming out as long as he's still in one piece.
Right. The only reason did he come out?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came out in the semi, but that was only because
It was
It was a
in
blowout.
hand. It was in hand, and we were like, all right, we need
Right.
you to rest. Come on. So yeah.
that I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Because I don't think they'll be in that situation in the final.
No, not likely. Very
So
unlikely.
you got to go Jamie George because he'll rack up the points just from that
Right.
extra time spent on the field.
Agreed. All right, so we'll go with back five here. I'm not going to go with locks and back three. We'll go with back five because some of these guys are eligible all over the friggin' place.
Right.
If there's a position you definitely don't want to play against the Saracens, it is the locks because their second rows are a pain in the ass at stealing. Stealing ball away from like second rows and hookers are a bad idea against the Saracens because they're they're so good at stealing lineouts. And it just kills teams. They're just like, come on, man. I want let me have set piece ball. No, bad. So if I'm gonna go with a back five, it's definitely gonna include Maro Itoje.
Yes, it will.
It'll probably also include Matt Kvesic. Back row isn't particularly good again for either team. They're not necessarily good or bad against either one of those. Any of those positions, flank or 8-man. But then I think I want. It comes down to the three other positions. Really, is Billy V worth the cost?
I think so.
Okay.
Because it's just, again, it's play money at this point. It doesn't, like, you should never, well, at this point, you should have enough reserve cash or what have you. You can supplement here and there with some guys who might be a little bit cheaper options.
Right.
But Vunapol is going to get his carries. And he's going to be dangerous. I mean, he only got 16 points this past week.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a gamble, but I think he'll have a little bit. He'll have more opportunities.
Right.
It's one of these. He's going to get the ball. So
Yeah, he is.
So start him.
Start him and see what happens.
And just and live with it.
So Maro, Billy, and Itoje along with Maro and Itoje the same person. So Maro, Billy, and Kvesic, and I'm going to put another name in there, Will Skelton.
He's got to you got to give him a look.
Yeah, because last week he was obviously terrible, but the previous two games, 39 and 49. So, and his games before last week read. No play, 39, 49, 5. No play, 48, 25. That's all the way back to week 16. So he's got something in there. All it takes is him is getting one crash ball going over, and then he's on a roll. So
what about Cruiser? He only had 17 last week, but that's something that could change also.
It could, but he's, believe it or not, he's pretty far down the list.
Okay.
He
does a lot of the background stuff that doesn't get points on fantasy, unfortunately.
Right. There's actually two second row / back rowers that are higher on this list that probably won't see a lot of action, and that's Asikwe and Clark.
Right. Yeah.
So not fantasy is not the old cruise missile specialty, but that's okay. So we need one more position, and I think it needs to go to an Exeter player. And I'm thinking, I think it has to be Don Armand.
Yeah, that's where I was going. I just wanted to.
I think it has to be
not
Don
jump
Armand.
in front of you.
He was top 4 on Exeter in terms of points scored, and he's just bloody good. He wins the ball in line out. He carries the ball well. He's a very dynamic player. He's not going to be fun to deal with.
Does that all change if you know that Simmons is available and starting? Sorry, if Simmons starts this match.
If Simmons starts, I might grab him instead, because that means Kvesic's going to the flank.
Right.
And Simmons is definitely playing 8. So what a titanic duo that would be between he and Billy Vanapola.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Simmons starts, I would definitely pick him over Armin. But assuming it's the same back row that started the last match, I'd say Don Armin's your guy. So your back 4 should look something like this. Basically, it's the 2 big series locks, Itoje and Skelton, Matt Kvesic, Don Armand, and Billy V. Those are the guys I'd be rocking in the back 5. Sounds like.
Yeah, and I would give consideration to Jax Ray, because he's come on lately. He didn't have his best game last week, but
Nope.
he got that was just him getting overshadowed by so many other people.
There were a lot of guys.
But Jax is a good guy as far as he could sneak up on you.
He could, and he's had a couple of good ones,
and have some good runs. And
he hasn't had a lot, but he has had some really good games though. Think back, he's 28, 29.
He should be in the conversation. He should not so much as a guy who you have to have on your team, but he's someone certainly worth considering.
Yeah, give him a look.
Yeah.
All right, halfback. This is an easy one for me. Ben Spencer. And I know Nick White's decent, but Exeter are bad against scrum halves, believe it or not.
Okay.
Which is weird as fuck. But I'd definitely put him in there. He gets the intercept try every once in a while. He gets the offload try on the inside. He's got a little bit more than Nick White offers.
And he kicks a lot.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah.
And you get points for that. I mean, you're not going to get much, but it's still
couple
points.
Adds up. So yeah, Ben Spencer's probably the guy I would rock if I were picking a fly half and I had all the money on the game to possibly play with.
Mm-hmm.
Fly half. Again, you have to go with England's 10. Owen Farrell.
It's fantasy though. That's my only concern.
But Exeter don't do well against fly halves either.
Okay, well then there you go.
that being my point. And he's still top 3 on their squad, at least I think. Maybe not that high up. He is still top 10. 335 points as opposed to let's compare what your other option is. Joe Simmons.
Right.
And Joe Simmons, God, he had a great game. But overall this year, not been awesome. He's had way more opportunity to play rugby this year. He's only at 301.
That's accurate. Yeah.
So, and granted, Steenson, he split time with Steenson. Steenson doesn't do well.
No.
So, and here we'll just look at the recent evidence.
Although, and I'm going to put this out there, because if you want to get creative, you want to get really creative here, Alex Good plays fly half in this.
That's true.
You can always slot him in there.
And I can tell you what the back 3 do well. Exeter are middling against the back 3.
Okay.
Not bad.
So you might
the thing about your fly half is it's usually your kicker, and you need those kicker points.
Right.
So you're gonna have to pick a kicker.
That's true.
So you have to pick a kicker. They don't let you go without it.
We are in that time of the year where you can't just slot one guy in and then.
Yep.
And you could always put the Faz at center too.
You could. That is true.
You have all sorts of options here.
There are some options. Yeah. So, Simmons has had.
Or Devoto. Could always put Devoto. Devoto is a fly half center fullback. He
is. So out of Simmons' last 4 games, 4 good, 3 bad.
Okay.
So he's kind of middle of the road. So and if I'm gonna go middle of the road, I'm gonna go with the guy that plays 10 for England.
No disagreement there.
So and then centers. Saracens actually do well against centers.
Which is interesting because I'm not a huge fan of either of Exeter's centers.
Right. Well,
I like Slade. I like Slade a lot more than
I would play Slade. I would play Slade.
Yeah.
And and if you want to get creative and you Good, 10, Farrell, and Slade, your center combination. There you go.
You could do worse.
There's your first three receivers there. And
But
then there's a
that
plethora of guys you can pick from in the back
Right.
that are wingers and whatnot as well. So it's not like you'll be lacking options.
No.
So there's that. So yeah, I would play Slade definitely. Lazowski's solid quietly. Usually gets you about 25, 30 points. Doesn't do anything otherworldly, but you're going to have those guys in your team. You know, not everybody's going to land you 40 points.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes, unfortunately. I wish I knew how to do that, but I don't. Yeah, if I knew how to name the dream team every time, then I'd be running shit.
Fairly straightforward at that point.
Right. So yeah, I would play Slade, and yeah, if I have to pick two of the centers that are likely to start, and basically I'm discounting Brad Barrett considering he didn't.
I would.
It's a race against the clock.
Yeah.
If I have to pick if I have to pick centers that are going to play in this game, I would pick Slade and Lazowski. That's just that'd be my thought. Slade, yes, Saracens do well, but this is one of those guys that's kind of matchup proof.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Slade's kind of good.
Yeah.
and again, Exeter, middle of the pack. If I'm going to pick the lesser of two evils between like Devoto and Laws, I'm taking Laws.
So why Laws over Tompkins?
I think that was a one-off.
All right.
I love Tomo, but I think that was a one-off. And
what are his last
good,
couple of games?
He's good at that. He's good at one-offs.
Right. But I feel like he's had a couple of.
He's had a couple of good
strong
ones, but he's had a
performances.
couple of
All right.
got a couple of stinkers. Let me find him real quick. Nick Tompkins, our most recent. Yeah, his last three games he's been on fire. 44, 34, 48. But then before that, 19, 17, 18, 3, 14.
Yeah.
So he's in a hot streak. If you want to ride the hot streak, ride the hot streak. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just telling you, he's also got some stinkers in his locker too.
Great. We only have two teams to talk about.
I know.
So
and there's only a handful of players.
Right. So
all right.
There's considerations all around.
Indeed. Back three. Saracens usually do well against back three, but obviously this is all with a caveat that they're playing the best team or the second best team, depending on how the score finishes on Saturday. Back three. So if you haven't gone the good at 10 and Farrell,
let's assume you played it straight.
So assuming you play it straight, you got to throw him in there.
Right.
I think you got to throw him in there. I think you got to throw Noel in there. Yeah. Although I've lost minus a point for Jack Noel for that stupid scrum cap he's been rocking. I hope we don't see that as a trend.
I think we will. Hey, it's money.
Can I wipe my butt with it?
I don't mind it so much. There's ads everywhere else. Why shouldn't the player make some money off of it?
No, still just nah. Come on, man.
And plus, it kind of fits his style. He's high flying. He's a risk taker. He's a daredevil.
He's a hammerhead. It's unfortunate. I'm looking at this. The only back three guy that really stands out season long, not named Jack Noel, is Cordero, and he's hurt. We'll see what. I don't think he'll be back in time to start this game at best.
No, he's done.
Is he done?
They announced it earlier.
Oh, I did not know that. That
he's done for the year.
shows you how much attention I'm paying.
No, I had him, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll keep him. I'll hang around. And it was like, no, he's shut down for the year.
Oops. Okay, so there's that, and then he has a habit of finding ways to score in big games, and so I would pick Sean Maitland. That'd be my last guy. But you could do better. You couldn't do a whole lot worse with like Williams either.
Right.
So I would go Noel, Good, and Sean Maitland. Those would be my back. Those would be my fifth. That'd be my 15 right there. So yes, it seems a little Saracens heavy only because Exeter do. This is fantasy. It's not. It's not reality. I don't know how the fucking thing's gonna play out.
Right.
Jesus, but this is a matter of is this gonna go? How is this gonna go points wise? And unfortunately, the numbers just favor Saracens in terms of how Exeter have done. Whether it's their style or something, whatever it is, they
share the load.
More points.
They don't have the guys who. I mean, you look at their last week, and they have a bunch of guys who got around 30. Mm-hmm. But nobody super high flying. They put up
nobody in the 40s.
42 points, and their highest scoring player was 31 for Devoto.
Simmons with 33.
Simmons with 33.
Yep.
And then you go over to the Saris, and they've got
two guys
Tojo with 41. and
Tom
Tompkins with
Tom
48. And their points are pretty centralized as far as there's 3 or 4 guys who are going to go off. They're going to get you that baseline of 20 points.
Yep.
But the ceiling is ridiculously high, whereas Exeter's ceiling for individual players is
Maybe not so high.
mid-range.
Yeah.
Just because of the way they play,
Yeah. Agreed.
which some describe as boring, I hear.
Whatever. Whatever, man. Whatever. Take boring and trophies. I'm okay with it. All right. So let's answer our Twitter question from whatever it was, and it was basically, Andy on Twitter has asked, basically he needs to find a way to take an 87-point lead away from his buddy. Now, the way you do that is pick a good captain usually.
Yeah.
And
it was huge for me because I knew I was going to pick this past week. It was going to be either a Toje or Laws for me. And as it turned out, there's no wrong answer.
There wasn't a wrong answer on that one. They're both pretty good.
I picked right in that I picked a Toji, which got
Who scored 3 more points.
Right.
So you got
so
6
I got
more.
6 extra points. But that's a big difference from
Right.
You picked Rhynak, right?
I did.
Who had 25
Yeah.
got you
Toji's still
50.
not bad.
It's still not bad. But
As long as you don't pick a guy that gets you 2.
right.
And then you get 4.
Right. You got that's where to me that's where the matchups come into play.
Right.
As well as the individual player. You got to kind of factor all those things
Right.
in.
So for me, I got a gut feeling about Jamie George.
And
That's where it is for me.
and for me it's Morrow again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep him as my captain.
you're gonna. I mean, you have a guy to ride. I can't go Rhynak.
Right.
So yeah,
Although I think Ben Spencer might be another good option.
Ben
too.
Spencer, and even the overall album for me was if I couldn't fucking think of something, it was a scrum half usually. I had Hugard during the season, so again, I would just go default to the 9 because they find ways to get automatic points quick, just like hookers do.
Right.
If a fly half is on their game that day though, with kicking and they're leaning on the fly half for a ton of points, never a bad thing. But for the Saracens' sake, I hope that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, this game is going to be its own interesting thing because of the way these two teams play.
Right.
There's some matches where you're like, I'll use my wing here as my captain because I think, Nairovoro is going to go for a couple runs and truck some people and yada, 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 points.
He's good at that.
But for me, I would go with Itoji this week because he's a target in the line out. He's able to steal ball in the line out.
Yeah, especially if he's playing 6.
Yeah.
If he's playing in the second row, maybe a little bit different, but
right.
he's
And going
playing
back
6.
to his play in the loose.
Yeah.
He had a long ass run and
Offload for a try.
Offload for the try. So he's doing the things like he does all the stuff that he normally does. Stealing ball, line out work, tackles,
Right.
all that. But now he's adding in his running ability,
Right.
and really showing his quality there. He's going to be my captain this week.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. And so there's a few options out there. It's just a matter of can you hit the lotto.
Right.
All right. So we had a very kind person email us. As I usually do, I'll give the email at the end of the show, and I'll also put it up when I put up the stats, which should be up tomorrow. So if you're listening to it, they're up now. Saw your Twitter post with the point stats for FRD. Very useful. I've been waiting so long for someone to do this as its standard for fantasy NFL.
Yeah.
Can't believe the Moondogs give up the least against Lucy's, and they still do, by the way. I just did the numbers. Will you keep doing this going forward? Of course I will. I'd pay you to get these stats each week. Yeah, you want to pay a salary? Let's go. $50,000 a year. Let's start with that.
Well,
we would take some. I believe this gentleman's from New Zealand, so we'd take some good Kiwi beer.
ooh, nope. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we'd be okay with that as payment if you wanted to send us some of that.
Or just swag in general.
Yeah, anything you feel like that we would appreciate wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
But thanks for the email, Fred.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Okay, and then so I want to do a quick yay or nay on a few FRD guys, and then we'll get to pick them in GTFO.
All right.
Do. Just going down my matchups here. Blues and Bulls. So this is one guy, and he might turn into. It's funny because where he is, he might turn into my stop sign. Nanu. Midfield Bulls midfield actually give up a lot of points. Blues don't give up a ton. So there's your answer. There's a big matchup there. Second rows I wouldn't write home about much. Blues don't give up a lot, but yeah, Blues are actually near the top in terms of average points surrendered total per game. So they're decent defense, believe it or not, despite their record. I didn't think they'd do it, but they contained Richie Moanga.
Mm-hmm.
So their fly half number stays high. So that's another one that you want to avoid for them. Rebels and Waratahs. Taz fly halves, again, this might be another guy that I put the stop sign on. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet, but Quay Cooper, Waratahs fly halves against Waratahs do not do well. But contrast to that, if you need a front row that does well, Waratahs front row is not a bad one. Rebels are giving up a ton of points to the front rows. Some Wolves, Brumbies, obviously some Wolves we talked about. Loose forwards, don't start your loose forwards against the Brumbies for whatever, or against the Sun Wolves for whatever reason. Some Wolves don't give up a lot against loose forwards. A lot of other places they do. Basically any other position, you're good. But loose forwards, stay the fuck away. All right. Brumbies, nothing to write home about in terms of. They actually do well against loose forwards as well, but everything else, it's either bad or meh. So, pick at your discretion and go for it, especially since some Wolves do so terrible. Go for it. Chiefs, Crusaders, top team total in terms of average points surrendered total per match. Second rows, outside backs, midfielders, and that's bad news for anybody that like me that owns Anton Leonard-Brown, except I'm not in the playoffs, so it doesn't matter. Chiefs are still surrendering a shit ton of points, unfortunately, at basically every position except halfback and loose forward, and midfielder. Actually, they're okay there too. Yeah, so halfback, loose forward, midfield, don't pull. They're okay, if not pretty tough. Everything else, green light, go for it. Reds, Jaguars, Reds, front row, they do very well against front rows. They have their own very good front row. On top of that, obviously, Jaguars actually can shut down outside backs. So keep that in mind. See guys like Seth Nyavalu.
Now, do they shut them down, or are they just not having to get the ball out that far?
They're basically just not letting them have it, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Jags against loose forwards are actually a team you can probably roll against, as well as the Reds. So this will be kind of a toss of a coin. This game's going to be played in Australia, so maybe play the Reds guys.
Well, the Jaguars are still weren't they just? Let me see. Hold on.
They were in Australia.
They're in
before.
Australia, so they're not really traveling.
No, they're not traveling, but still, they're not at home either. They're not in Buenos Aires.
Right.
Sharks, Hurricanes. Welcome back, Hurricanes. Hurricanes are tough against fly halves, so Kerwin. I know Kerwin Bosch is listed as an outside back, but still be cautious. Most other positions, they're not exactly that tough, especially loose forwards. Are actually another team you can probably greenlight those guys. Sharks, on the other hand, problem. They're the second best team in the comp for total points surrendered. Second rows, outside backs, halfbacks, front rows, problems all around. They're not bad against fly halves. They're not bad against loose forwards. Midfielders, midfield's the one place they can probably be had. So, hello, Nana Lamape. Might be the green light this week. And then Lions and Stormers. Lions giving up a lot of points overall in the comp this year. So, second rows, outside backs, midfield. Go for it. They're tough against halfbacks. That's the one position that they're tough against. But the Stormers, they're kind of middling. Loose forwards, they're tough, and that's about it. They don't surrender a lot of points except one spot. I know they have one spot that they're weak. Halfbacks. So Cronje or Groom, whichever one plays for the Lions. Maybe if you're desperate for a halfback this week and you want to win your playoff matchup, maybe that's where you go. Especially if you're like me and have Aaron Smith, and they just seem to love to find ways to sit him. So yeah, there you go. There's your ups and downs. Obviously, I'll put the good stuff on the Twitter. So if you forget this and don't want to go back and listen to it, just go follow me on Twitter and it'll be there.
I'll be right there.
Okay. Okay.